Hello, everybody. Is my mic working? One moment. I think it is. Mic good? All right. We are back. Happy to be back. Last time I saw you guys was Monday morning, early Monday morning. We're back in the streets. We're going to rip a DraftKings Milly Maker, or I should say a 1.5 Milly Maker. We've shown a lot of love to Underdog. We've done some drafters. We've only done a couple DraftKings. So without further ado, we're getting back in these streets. I'm in there. Again, if you're new to NFL Best Ball, welcome, first of all. Thank you for being here. And I mean, guys, we did it. We broke 4,000 subscribers on this channel. I don't know what happened. Maybe the algorithm picked me up, but we rocketed through 4,000. I'm almost at 5K. So if you enjoy my streams, thank you. Let's go. Let's go. What's up? Let's get it. Let me share my screen here. Appreciate each and every one of you. Going to be ripping here on DraftKings. I've done, as far as my DraftKings drafts, trying to become a 3 times DraftKings champion. Of course, I won 2 high stakes contests, but never the Milly Maker here. A tough one to win. I've done a couple of the 555s and only 1 or 2 of the $20 ones. There is a Rakeback deal. If you're not familiar with the term rake in gambling, it is what the website takes from your entry. So, roughly 10% is industry standard that they take out of the prize pool for themselves. However, for the month of May, let's see if we can get this pulled up. DraftKings Rakeback Best Ball. Look at this. Look at us coming up there. Let's see what DraftKings has here. They have a deal where here we go. May early bird offers. If in the $20 contest, every 5 times you enter in May, which ends May 31st at midnight, you get a ticket back. So, and max redemption of 5. So that means if you do 25 drafts, you will get 5 free. So if you're planning to max anyways, pretty good deal there. Same thing with the 555. If you were to pony up 25 entries in that, you would get 5 back. So I'm back here. We pulled the 104. Now, it is massively minus EV expected value to be streaming a DraftKings draft in particular, in my opinion, because half the appeal of a DraftKings draft is the wild ADPs, which, if you guys are in these drafts with me, we don't truly capture that. What's up? Let's go. Let's go. If you want to check out my best ball work, you can check that out at beatbestball.com. I got like 5 articles half written here, so hoping to have a new article there. You can check out all my rankings there as well. I don't know if we've gotten any NFL news that is so noteworthy. Of course, training camp or voluntary training camps have started. I mean, I guess you can count this as news. Devontae Parker retired, so clears up the Eagles pecking order a little bit. Of course, he was an Eagle if you didn't know that. What that would, for any of the wide receiver 3s in Philly to be a thing, it probably requires A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith to get hurt. Underdog came out with a new lower buy-in best ball contest if you're an Underdog person. I do a lot of Underdog here. We're going to be doing a lot of drafters too. Maybe some even FFPC. I guess a big one to talk through is Kyren Williams. and the inconsistency. Yeah, so I love to get Chase here at 4. I think, you know, Chase is my 103, just kind of showing, you know, giving Lamb and CMC their spot there. But who would you want for all the money? Would you want Chase against the Broncos or Tyreek against the Browns? And I really think Chase will play in the slot quite a bit, where he'll get a lot of targets. So yeah, I'm firmly Chase 103. Of course, Tyreek, Tyreek's a monster. Just look at this. But there is that Tua in the cold weather. Tyreek is old, Chase is not. So you have that. Yeah, Kyren Williams. The news there is he hurt. Let me just pull this up. I retweeted this for you guys. Follow me on Twitter at Chesliam. Let's see. I got people riled up saying Russell Wilson's not good. Where did I do this? Here we go. This is from Sarah Barshup, who is an ESPN reporter for the Rams. Sean McVay said running back Kyren Williams is dealing with a quote-unquote foot issue and will not take part in the Rams offseason program this spring. McVay said Williams will be back on the field for training camp. And then he further said, it's nothing to worry about. He'll be ready to go for training camp, but there's a little issue when he was training, and I'll kind of just leave it at that, but nothing to be concerned about. So, Sean McVay, typically a guy who tells us the truth. There are some coaches who always lie, can't trust a word out of their mouth, or it's like 50% they're lying, 50% they're not. So I'm inclined to take him at his word, especially in May. Like what competitive advantage are you gaining lying for no reason? So I do think Kyren will be back by training camp. Now, how will the market treat this is a little bit more importantly. I can see Kyren falling to 311, 312, 310. Do I think he should fall there? No. I still think Kyren Williams can be a monster in fantasy. I still think it's plausible he has a stranglehold on snaps. I mean, he was just outright good, right? He was good in the red zone. He was good as a pass catcher. He was great at blitz pickup. They trust him. He does have a little bit of an issue. He touted the rock too much last year, and he has a little bit of a history of injuries to his feet. So that is a concern. Blake Corum, the 3rd round pick for the Rams, has a huge opportunity, right? I mean, he should be operating as the RB1 in these May weeks until training camp begins, right? So huge opportunity ahead for him, not only to show what he's got right now, but also so that during the year, they might trust Corum a lot more, right? Versus if he was just watching Kyren the whole time. That's a pretty wild one. Devonta Smith going at the 2.8. I don't hate it. Do I think the projection's wildly different from Smith and some of these guys? No, I don't. So I think it's a fine pick there. ADP. I got to update my DraftKings ranks, but I've been drafting off them, so there's only a couple players I need to update, like I did on Underdog. Taking Devontae Adams there seems solid to me. And I think Aiden O'Connell offers a little bit of upside. So anyways, back to Kyren. If the market's going to let him drop, let's let him drop. I've taken him at the 1-2 turn. And am I going to be thrilled if he falls to the 3-4? No, of course I'm not. I think Blake Corum absolutely should go up, right? Does that mean that Blake Corum's going to be a smash in fantasy football? No. But he should go up because we just want to kind of be ahead of these things that we know the market's going to do. And I'm pretty confident the market's going to let Kyren drop a little bit, and it's going to start, push-pull, reaching for Corum. So if your Corum bags are not packed, I'd pack them a little bit. For example, in a 5.55, I think I took him at like the 11.4. So you don't got to reach a lot. You don't got to be the guy who's like, Blake Corum round 9, let's go. No need, right? I took him like at 11.4. I considered taking him at like the 10.9. His ADP is usually around this 11, 12 turn. So I reached a round to a half round, depending on how you look at it. Kyren does not fall in this one. So it's going to be a slow fall if he does, right? Now, is it quite fair that Kyren is falling? Let's check it on ADP here. Okay, yeah. And my ranks. So pretty firmly going wide out. One of these four, I would say. And let's just go Waddle this time. I'm just not taking Waddle as much as I have more Diggs and Neighbors. Neighbors, for whatever reason, you can get him at the 3-4 on DK, I think, a little bit more in non-sharp rooms. I think he's a better pick in PPR land, too. But, we know Waddle has a huge ceiling. He works well with a chase pick over Tyreek, too, where we're leveraging off of Tyreek. So, yeah, Kyren, I think he'll fall. Should he? I mean, Bijan is not practicing right now. Who else has got some? Who else is? There's a couple running backs who we did not react the same to. I think Joe Mixon maybe had something. Let me pull this up. To just show you market inconsistencies. Let's see here. Yeah, okay, it was Josh Jacobs. I mean, Josh Jacobs is not quite being treated the same. I didn't hear as much buzz about that. Josh Jacobs missing time because of a hammy. Bijan missing time due to an ankle. He's not dropping. But Kyren's dropping. Hold up. You got to drop him to the 3-4. Now, I don't know why, but other fantasy creators just seem to have an anti-bias against Kyren too, right? Everyone has their biases. I think certain people have biases against volume backs who they don't view as exciting, such as like an Achane, he's not a volume back, he's an efficiency back. He's going to get there off because he's really good, he's really talented. But we know if you're going to have volume, that's very valuable too. It's just if you are a volume back, it's a risk because if you lose that volume hold, you're no longer valuable. So if Kyren is no longer the volume guy, obviously he's going to be a bust, right? If he goes to like a 50-50 split, that's not worth a second round pick. That's not worth a third round pick, right? Whereas Achane, in almost no way do we think he's worth a 2-3 pick off of pure volume. We think he's worth it off of we're playing best ball, which is a weekly game. So we know that Achane can hit 50 points. We know he can hit 40 points. Like we know he can do this off of 6 touches, But for whatever reason, other people do not like Kyren. I think also if you didn't draft Kyren last year, that's some anti-bias of you too. Some people will say if they didn't draft a player, they'll overcorrect and be like, I got to get this guy a lot. But if they didn't get a league winner, maybe it left a sour taste, and so they're fudding Kyren already. And you could say the opposite for me, who drafted a lot of Kyren. Mitchell from Baltimore, I don't count him because he was not an expensive back, right? Jacobs, Bijan, and Kyren are the expensive backs who Jacobs is a weird one. I mean, I have ETN ranked over him, who I just think is a more talented player and should see similar volume. Do you like the RB2 in Jacksonville? Me either. And who is it? Whereas Jacobs, I actually do like the RB2. And it's Marshawn Lloyd, right? It's not A.J. Dillon to me. Talent is probably stickier than volume 2, says Chris. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's some debate there. Let's go ETN here. Get who is top of mind. Gets Tennessee week 17. Pretty good matchup. Averaged 17 points per game last year. There was some talk about wanting to keep him fresh. They did do that towards the second half of the year last year. But I mean, Tank Bigsby was so brutal. Kylen Robinson is like 180 pounds. So, yeah, I mean, with Kyren, it's like, why isn't he talented though? It's not like Kyren is 28. Kyren is effectively a second year player, right? His first year, he played on his rookie year. He like got hurt on a kickoff and didn't play the rest of the year. So his last year was his second year in the league, but his first year as a back, and he iced out Cam Akers. Not hard to do, but he did it and smashed, right? Averaged 22 PPR points and like 20 half-point PPR points, right? So, and just, 30 points, 28 points, right? And so I do think Kyren is talented. I don't think he's purely a volume guy who, like, in the past, I think Mixon is a little bit more of like a pure volume guy at this stage. He's got a little wiggle, right? Derrick Henry on the Titans, like that was more of just a bet on pure volume. He's still the same talented Derrick Henry, but we don't like the offense. So I don't, throwing away the third year back who's really like a second year player for the rookie. I don't know about that. I definitely could not imagine like full fade in Kyren like some people talk about doing. Let's get to some of these comments here. So yeah, I mean, but all that said, if Kyren is going to drop to the 3-4, let's let it happen. But I'm going to be taking him a lot if he does. Yeah, this just seems like a great place to get T. Higgins here. Adds to our chase bet. So why not? Adding a little Cincinnati stack at a really, palatable price. I don't know what, like, T. Higgins, I think, is a risk in some senses that maybe he holds out. He's not happy with his contract. But, getting a guy of his talents as your wideout 4 in the 5th round feels pretty good. Let's see. Any other comments here? Pittman banged knees. I'm not drafting any Pittman above most of these guys. I think it's, you can't copy and paste Gardner Minshew Pittman onto Anthony Richardson, especially on a half-point PPR site. On a PPR, if he's going to be this like RPO, run pass option, number 1 target, and he's just going to get 10 targets a game, okay, let's do it. Any interest in maxing out the pug? I don't know if I was going to do any entries there. I just got home, so I'm not even really sure what the structure is, but maybe. Geff says, at the 109 here and hate my start. Always go Puka over Bijan/Brees. That's how I have it ranked. So I thought I'd switch it up, but now I'm way behind on wideout. Yeah, and I mean, I think in less sharp rooms, you can get away with it, right? But particularly on a stream draft, generally people understand that you don't want to get buried at wide receiver. Interestingly, the high stakes rooms are not behaving like the lower stake rooms where the high stakes 555s are the drafts of yesteryear, I would say, where I'm seeing a lot of guys in there who just love getting their running backs. And so you almost have to adjust a different way there. But I will mix in some running back starts. You really gotta, and like you got some good profiles there to make it work. Cup could see a lot of volume, right? If healthy. And Worthy, first round pick on the Chiefs, why not? Higgins stats are top 11 wideout. I personally do not think T. Higgins is that talented compared to, like, I was full fading pretty much at the 2-3 turn compared to some of the guys. I just didn't think he was that good, right? I don't think he separates. He was more of like an expensive Gabe Davis, expensive Mike Williams to me. But at this price, it's like, what's there to dislike? I don't know who you're asking about here. What do you think of the recovers in this range? Oh, I think you meant receivers. Oh, what do I think of the receivers in this range compared to? I'm an elite tight end guy. I almost always have. I think this year especially. I think the article I'll release tomorrow is I don't like late round tight end, but if I did, these are the ones I'd take. Because I do think there are some guys who are decent bets, but in general, like if you're gonna give us a discount on tight ends, and this is like abnormal, by the way. Second round, Kelsey and Laporta. Like this guy's going for a game stack. Okay, so I'm okay with the half round reach for that. Kelsey is just going up boards. That's fine. I think it's a worse situation where he's competing now with like actual NFL wideouts, except and not just like MVS and Justin Watson. So if he's going to be a second round pick, I'll just buy the other guys. But yeah, I try to leave my rooms with a tight end who can win you a week. Let's go with Kamara this time. Not a lot's changed for Kamara. Not as good a bet on a half point PPR, firmly a PPR plus target. But I mean, if Derek Carr is still at the helm, which is not a lock by week 17, you don't really have, you got Olave, who had a lot of unrealized air yards down the field. So could have had a much bigger year, but typically a down the field guy, right? You got Shaheed, almost firmly a down the field guy. And then who is catching your 5-yard passes, your 10-yard passes? Michael Thomas is out of there. Juwan Johnson, maybe. There's the Taysom Hill packages. Yeah, I said I was going to do nighttime, but surprise, we're live. So Kamara could really be just like a big PPR scam again. No suspension. With these 4 wideouts, and running back kind of dries up a bit after this. So, and I'm hoping to get a player I like still at the 7th round. Firemouth is he's a good cheap bet. I don't know who maybe you want Fields to be the quarterback. If it's you saw that Kmet was really kind of like the second guy after DJ Moore, which if it could be Firemouth, the second guy, that's great. Yeah, let's get Kittle here. Pretty awesome to get still the tight end who, I think Kittle arguably has the highest weekly ceiling of any tight end, right? He's not a PPR scam guy, but he is a guy who can catch 3 touchdowns in a game and just not a lot of tight end because he can win down the field, right? Like literally this game, three catches, 4 targets, 3 touchdowns. That's a pretty firmly George Kittle stat line. I'm pretty confident that will not be a Kincaid stat line. Kincaid stat line would be more like 10 catches, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like that's a good game for him. Whereas Kittle, not as much a PPR guy. It's just pure spikes, which in best ball we like. And maybe that steers you to a 3 tight end build, right? But I don't think you have to. I like the tight ends. And let's look at Jack's team here. I think Jack's team is like he went double elite tight end. One of them, like it was just unnecessary to take Laporta at 211, but whatever. He did it. And then he took Kincaid as well. So he's clearly done a tight end, or he should be. Debo, George Pickens, McConkey, and Brian Thomas. That's not a weak wide receiver room to me, right? I'm not as big of a George Pickens guy. He's like, you could say he's kind of like a George Kittle of wideouts where he's not going to be a PPR scam, but he's also on an offense I'm not stoked about from a passing perspective. And Lad could be a PPR scam. He's primarily playing out of the slot, which is what you like to hear. Brian Thomas Jr., again, that's more of a spike week guy, not a PPR scam. Underdog dropped the pug. That's correct. I don't only do underdog streams. Some people do, but I do, I've won them on many sites. So I like to show love to all the streams. And some people, like I got people in the UK who watch who can only do DraftKings. Some states can only do DraftKings. The pug, if you're curious though, is a 3-entry max, $12 entry, $20K to first. It's already 27% filled. So if you want to do those, I jump in there. Rashee Rice, I think I'm feeling more confident that he will not be suspended as badly, is my recent vibe on him. So I think I'm going to bump him back up in my rankings a bit. It's just, I'm just trying to read the tea leaves here. It's no firm report. They dropped the nightclub incident. Some are speculating that people were paid. I don't know. So, I mean, this is like like this guy, Woody here. No need to take off there's two types of drafters. The drafter who absolutely needs to get their stack and it ruins their day if they don't, and they'll tilt their face off. And so they just need to do it. And then there's the other drafter who understands that, I mean, like, guys, I guess I'll hold my breath here for a second, but let's just wait 1 second. Why I'm waiting will be clear. I'm not short-circuiting. Yeah, there's just no universe where Jared Goff should go ahead of Joe Burrow in best ball drafts, right? So there's guys like, there's two strategies here. You got Woody here who got antsy on the finger. I need to get Goff. They're going to take him. When his ADP, by the way, is like the 10th round. And then you have someone like me who says, okay, I'm greedy. I know quarterbacks drop all the time, particularly in these early year drafts, right? You have less people who are going to be like, naked pocket passer, let's go, right? You have people who are trying to do things here, right? You have this guy, Kyler and McBride. You have this guy, Lamar and Flowers. Okay, this guy did go naked Mahomes and then 4 running backs. But then you have this guy, Stroud and Diggs. You have this guy, Jordan Love and Reed. And so I am going to push the envelope, try to get the super team, and then have the quarterback fall to me. And when I don't get Joe Burrow, who cares? I'll take a different quarterback. I'm set up for other players. And I understand that as long as Burrow doesn't put up like 35 or 40 points week 17, I can replace his points and still have Higgins and or Chase be the guy I need to have. Like Chase scored 50 points the year of BBM2, and I did not have Burrow. I just had Josh Allen. Yeah, let's go Brooks here. A third running back, putting some stress on my wide receiver room, but 3 running backs I think could be smashes. We do have 2 week 12 buys. I'm not a huge bye week guy, but why not? No need to reach on Goff when you take Anthony Richardson. Absolutely, right? I mean, look, reaching on any player is okay in the sense that you are adding some uniqueness, but when you're doing it unnecessarily, you're probably adding bad uniqueness, Whereas, okay, this guy might be unique because he's not going to have an 8th round player where other people are, and they're going to have Goff in the 10th round or the 11th round. But in general, we think the 8th round players are just better bets than the 10th round and the 11th round, right? So we like this start, right? We got upside at all of the positions. We got our starting lineup filled, a balanced approach, something that I think is in general when you can pull it off, no reason not to, right? And with a Brooks Kamara ETN combo, comfortable stopping at 5 running backs, might go 6 if I really want to. And then I'm going to add volume at wide out. I have a high ceiling weekly option with Kittle here. Week 17 game stacks, we don't have any right now, other than Burrow, Higgins, and Chase scoring a lot of points on the Broncos. I count that as a week. Oh, actually, we did. We found Devontae Adams and Kamara. Right, a subconscious week 17 stack. Where do you see Brooks finishing the year? I mean, that's not really like thinking. I'm not like going like, okay, I think this guy will be RB10 on the year and this guy will be RB9. I think Brooks could be as high as RB5 in fantasy. I mean, really good prospect. If he's playing week 1, why can't he be Zamir White but a better player, right? So yeah, I don't think the team's going to be that great. So it's kind of hard to be a top 5 running back without your team scoring a lot of points. But if he has a stranglehold on snaps, if he has a stranglehold on the red zone roll, if he's getting passes his way, could smash, And of course, his production should be weighted towards week 17 as he is a rookie. So just rookies in general. And he is coming off of course, an injury. How do you feel about Metcalf this year? I like Metcalf. I have him ranked around where he is. I think he's the number 1 in their offense. And I think he has a high weekly ceiling, right? He's not a guy I'm like fading. He's not a guy I'm like going out of my way to get. But I draft him. And I think Chicago and Seattle is a fun week 17 stack. I do think Chicago's defense is good. So like I'm not like, oh, let's get pieces against the Chicago D. However, a good, not great defense can lose like 3 guys and be terrible. Whereas, so like, we could be targeting the Bears defense in DFS real quick if they lose a couple corners, right? Don't really this is a way to build, not my favorite way. That like A-Train's going here. He's got 3 wideouts, and then he's got 5 running backs. And I mean, if he stops at 5, I think it's fine, or even 6. But unstacked Mahomes. You got to think about, how am I going to beat 500 plus teams? Or in DraftKings, it might even be 1,000 teams. I forget at this time. But you got to ask yourself, how am I going to be finished first there and win $1.5 million? Am I going to have Mahomes with no pass catchers? Is that my best bet to give myself a chance of winning? Or is something like Burrow, Higgins, Chase more likely, Yeah, I think it's around 1,000 actually this year. So I like a couple players here, but yeah, getting Lockett here seems great as a wide receiver 5. And if JSN is not that good, obviously that's great for Lockett. It's kind of like a tier break at wideout too. He's old, sure. But even in like a down year, had several weeks. And again, I think the Chicago game is a fun game. Like 1,000 tries later here, I think this is a good time to not wait on Lawrence, because maybe he noticed this, maybe he didn't, but the guy on his inside has Brian Thomas Jr. and only 1 quarterback. So if he wanted to be done at QB, grab Lawrence on the inside of the turn. Yeah, I think Geno's firmly the starter and not Sam Howell. But, there's just a little uncomfortability. They won't be out there week 17. I think you say the same thing for Kirk Cousins. They took a rookie at pick 8. Jax here did what I recommend, reaching for Corum here. Like Corum versus Eckler. I'm probably Corum there. However, I think a lot of these running backs, you can convince yourselves on some ways. Some of them I'm less into, like I'm less into Javonte. ADP land is gross. Let's go Josh Palmer. I really considered going running back, going wide out, or going quarterback there. Josh Palmer, good against man defense, had some good weeks. I still like if Herbert does make it to me at 12-9, I'm going to take him. The lad drafters here. So unless someone rocks naked Herbert, that could be a possibility, right? Another quarterback who, people are not that thrilled on. A lot of these guys already have 2 quarterbacks or they have an elite one. Not many people are just going to rock naked Herbert. I will rock a naked quarterback if they are far past their ADP and it's usually like later in drafts, right? And the quarterbacks I've seen fallen a lot like in certain drafts are guys like Stroud, Mahomes, Prescott, Burrow, Caleb, Purdy, Trevor, Herbert, Goff, Love. Generally, the quarterbacks who you are not taking if you do not have a pass catcher with them. Guys like Jaden Daniels, Lamar, Hurts, Josh, people are comfortable having them without pass catchers. So, A-Tran, not really surprised to see him go naked QB. He went naked Mahomes, right? Some guys just think this way. They're not thinking at it as, how do I win week 17? He's simply thinking of it as, these are some wideouts I like. I think Mahomes will score a lot of points. I think Tua will score a lot of points. And I think these running backs will score points. I think Njoku will score points. Whereas I think for games like DraftKings and Underdog, it's not enough to just say I'm going to score a lot of points every week, right? If you could control that, if you could just say, great, give me the players that score the most points always, so be it. But is it more likely that Tua and that you're going to win the contest with Tua hitting your lineup and you're not going to have like no one that has Tua and Waddle, Tua and Tyreek are beating you? Like if he didn't have a quarterback and he's just trying to catch his quarterback points, I think it's a little bit better, but he already has Mahomes too. You had Aaron Rodgers drop to the 14th round. Yeah, he's a guy who I've taken in like the 16th round unstacked and just been like, so be it. But people are all over there. I saw some people talk about, the last time we saw Rodgers, these were his stats back when the wideout room was like pretty terrible, aside from rookie year Christian Watson, right? I don't think it's the same case this year. I think Garrett Wilson is firmly good, right? Mike Williams is a big question mark for sure. Malachi Corley is a question mark, but a shot, right? Could be good. He's a rookie. I think Conklin is a good he's not a great tight end, but he's a good one, right? And then you got him throwing passes to Brees. So I think Rodgers for sure could have a good fantasy season. Vegas is also not out on them, like 9.5 wins or so. Yeah, Cal saying Garrett Wilson monster season. I think that's the most likely that like Garrett Wilson is the clear alpha. So 2-6-3-1. It's not a build you're going to see me doing a lot. It's a bummer. Would have loved to get Ford here, especially with the little Waddle correlation. Let's go Leggett. I like running back wideout correlation. Leggett, a former, a first round pick. Pretty wide open target room after Deontay Johnson. Like maybe Adam Thielen is still target dominant, but that's not too likely considering they added Deontay and Leggett. I think it's possible Bryce Young takes a big step, right? They were just so bad everywhere. Wide out, O-line, like it was like malpractice to like throw him out there. And could even stop at 7 wideouts. And if I felt like it, go like 2 QB, 2 tight end, 2 more, that is. And then like a 3-7-7-3. I don't need to do that, but that would be like the cover all your bases strategy. Assume that my wideouts are like good enough to win. Yeah, let's go Lloyd. Works well with me going ETN, right? Because we didn't go Jacobs, the running back in that round, or one of them. Leveraging off him and just, a third round pick who is competing with A.J. Dillon for touches. No, I don't think he's going to be the target dominant guy, but he's probably not going to 0, Watch Lazard end up wide receiver 2 for the Jets. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's in the range. So far, we're cooking with the Chase, Devontae, Waddle, Higgins, Etienne, Kamara, Brooks, Kittle, and Joe, Lockett, Palmer, Leggett, and Marshawn Lloyd start with 7 more picks. Appreciate you all being here. If you haven't, please like the video and subscribe to help me on the road to 5K. Going to have a stream for you tomorrow. Not sure what time yet. Going to have a stream, I think, Saturday night and Sunday evening/night. But maybe morning on Sunday. But probably 3 streams in a row the next 3 days. So buckle up, guys and girls. Hot best ball summer is here. So we're putting a lot of stress on Joe Burrow because most of the other quarterbacks you want are gone. Gino, I think if he falls at an appropriate price, I'd roll the dice on him. And also just taking like the rookie quarterbacks or Bryce Young even to go with Leggett seems fine. Mayfield is not a quarterback I would go out of my way to get, especially he is stacked with White, but he's a guy who, I mean, really only gave you one spike week last year, one true spike week, right? Week 15 at Green Bay, 33 points. Other than that, and this is DraftKings scoring, which gives you 3 points bonus for going over 300 yards, right? Other than that, he gave you a 24-point week. That's like, okay, maybe you're like 5 points above whatever, like the tight end, the QB 6 that week. And then just a very consistent 20 points a week, and it was a good year for him. So he's really a guy I only try to take when I have Mike Evans, and I never take him at ADP. Like Watson, we've at least seen it, right? I used to view him as like one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL, and we know he can run with his legs. He's got a whole host of other issues we won't get into. But him versus like a Mayfield, come on now. And DraftKings, I think, compared to Underdog, also has a lot more variance in terms of what kind of quarterback room do you get. Sometimes you get guys like Atran here, but it's the whole room where it's like naked Mahomes, naked Tua, naked Watson, and they go 4 QB, right? Other times you'll get more sharper rooms where they'll give me Joe Burrow in the 9th round. Jermaine Burton, that's a bummer. Would have loved to grab him there. Let's go Taysom Hill. Why not take one of the guys who has the highest ceilings at tight end? Adds to our Saints versus Raiders stack, which I mean that's like an ugly game, quote unquote, but one I like because it's in the dome in New Orleans. So it's worth a shot to hire an astrologist related to Cal Yapin saying we use zodiac signs to rank players. My mom keeps on asking me to have on a psychic onto my channel. And I keep telling her, like she'll call me up and be like, I really think this will play well. And I'm like, maybe, but I don't see the need or the crossover. So if you're looking for a psychic to come onto my channel and you have recommendations of one for me to reach out to, let me know. And in the comments, if you think that's like a great idea, let me know. We're willing to get creative over here. Any WSOP this year? I'm thinking about it. I'm going to Ireland for like 2 weeks in July. Well, I'm going to be working. I'm going to stream there. I'm going to be writing there, but I'm going there. So if I do go, like I'm never going to go for a full summer again. It's just too much, especially with me launching my site, beatbestball.com, and the thick of like streaming that year or that time of the year. I just can't go that long. But if I do go, maybe I'll go for like 3 days here and then 3 days again. Your mom knows content. Take the advice. All right. I mean, I might have to here. All right, let's take our last wideout. And I mean, these two are just a flip of the dice, but we're going McCaffrey today. That'd be fire. That would be good entertainment. Yes. Psychic drafts a winning BBM team. Your mom knows I mean, it's like it's a distant cousin of the person who had the best ball porno. If that did win, it's like it's not related, but it's in the same sphere, I mean, I'm open to it. Why not? Had a DK draft where I think 36 QBs got drafted. Yeah, not, I mean, happens. And DraftKings used to, great username, by the way, Booty is Life, with a picture of him and his wife or girlfriend. DraftKings used to, I don't know if they still do this, but if you were on auto draft, first off, you could not set position limits. You could not upload ranks. There was no draft board. And if you auto drafted, you were automatically given 4 quarterbacks no matter what. I still think that's their preset rankings, but more people obviously go in and change that down to a more logical number, such as 3. So we have 5 more picks to play with. Probably tack on a third tight end, 2 QBs if there's even 2 I can draft, and then tight end, 2 QBs, maybe 2 running backs. So a 3, 6, 8, 3 seems good. This Rodgers drafter probably pretty happy he got Malachi here. Michael Wilson, wide out 4 for A-Tran. Could work. All right, so you see how Woody is auto-drafted right now? Hit the bell. Possibly what he did is he said, all right, I'm done at QB. I'm done at wideout. I'm taking only running backs from here on out. So he just starred like all the running backs and then left, which is when you build an extreme strategy, I think that's perfectly fine to do. No need to wait it out when you know you're only taking one position and you just star all the players you need, right? But why I brought that up is last year, and it takes a sharp eye to see this, but I drafted against a guy who, yeah, and I think that's what he is doing. I drafted against a guy who changed his logo to the auto draft symbol, which is the sweatiest thing I've ever seen. But I mean, why not? If you're trying to chase that edge. Now, this year it is this like little, it used to just be like a grayed out auto draft box. This is really inside best ball. But now it's this little like green circle. So I don't know if you could insert that logo. But maybe I'll put it on the site for download if you want to be sweaty. And people will be like, why are all these people have auto draft things? All right, let's go Sanders as our third and last tight end. Could be a nice PPR scam, Jatavian Sanders. Didn't get the athletic testing that we like. I considered Chuba there, who's after ADP, and a player I do like. But, you know, we have Brooks, so don't really feel the need. Yes, please put on site. Okay. I don't know if I want that, but I mean, I guess it is edge seeking, so you can right click, open the image, and see if he's legit auto drafting or not. You can also just kind of tell, but still. McCaffrey is a fun player to add. Debated him or Corley. So I think the Commanders are going to be up tempo. They get Atlanta week 17. It is at home, so potential weather, but and then with Jaden Daniels, you know, should be rocketing the ball down the field. And Dotson had a good catch in practice yesterday from like a beautiful throw from Daniels. But he definitely does not have the stranglehold on the 2 to me, where McCaffrey could easily leap Dotson to be the 2. Geth, most people are not mentally unwell like you and I, and they just assume that if they see the auto draft symbol, someone is auto drafting. Now, if someone takes too long, that's, you know, if you're you're going to pull the sweaty thing, you need an instant pick, right? Otherwise, people are going to catch you. So I think here is where I'll go Bryce Young. Not my favorite player to draft, but I mean, we're going to be wrong sometimes, and Young is going to be good. And when I have Sanders, Leggett, and Brooks, that seems like the perfect time to take him. Gets Tampa week 17 in Tampa too, so shouldn't have a lot of weather concerns. And I think Tampa's pass defense could be suspect as well. Like if I didn't have all these Panthers players, are there some other quarterbacks I prefer from a weekly ceiling perspective? There are, yes. And I'll probably take one of those still, but this is a good time to grab them. When are you going to do another underdog? I just kind of randomize it. I've done a lot of underdog streams though. I did one, I think, on Saturday and Monday morning, and a bunch before that. So don't worry. If you prefer watching underdog, there will be lots of underdogs. And you can look at my old streams if you haven't seen them all. Done quite a bit. Yep, a lot of people are citing Canales, the coach there now, turned Gino and Baker into good fantasy players. He has a good track record, so great hire from the Panthers, and we'll see what they can do. No, I'm too tired to do another stream right now, but Friday and Saturday and Sunday, I think I'll be streaming. If you are not, a link to join my Discord. Man, Aiden O'Connell goes even? Like, what's going on here? Naked Aiden O'Connell? Sure. I was probably going to take him as like my third QB to go with Devontae. Oh, and Woody goes off auto draft to do it. What a sicko. Let's see. Is there anyone left at QB? There is not. There's no one. Okay. Sure. Roshan goes with the Lockett bet. Did I fat finger that one? Okay. Goes with the Lockett bet. I prefer Aiden, but I guess I could take Gardner Minshew. I prefer Aiden just because if there's someone with upside, I think it's him. Second year player. I think he'll have the first crack at the job. Even Daniel Jones went. So, I mean, Sanders, maybe I reached on. Maybe I could have, if I was really concerned about it, I could have double QB'd. Ultimately, with having Burrow, I don't feel the need to force a third QB. Like, I'm not going to take Russell Wilson or someone like that. Got here late. What's the team? Great question. Chase, Devontae Waddle, Etienne Higgins, Kamara, Kittle, Joe Burrow, Jonathan Brooks, Lockett, Palmer, Leggett, Marshawn Lloyd, Taysom Hill, Luke McCaffrey, Jatavian Sanders, Bryce Young. Do not close the stream. Roshan Johnson. Deontay Foreman, round 17. Bit rich, but why not? You high on the Panthers too? I would not say that, Raphael. I draft. You got to draft like you're right. So I've drafted a lot of Panthers in this time. Not something I do a lot. Let's take Will Shipley and just figure out what we do with this last pick. But I happen to have drafted a lot of Panthers, like Brooks and Leggett. And so I said, okay, needing a second quarterback. Most of the other ones I want went. This is a good, do I prefer Drake May over Bryce Young as far as who has a higher ceiling, I think, this season. However, I'm not going to just take May over Young when I have no Patriots and all these Panthers players. Could I have backstacked May? Yes. But this is a good time to bet that Bryce Young has a turnaround year or even just gives me a single week, right? If all Bryce Young does is advance me week 16, welcome to the squad. You only like Burrow as a backup. I like him, but I'm worried about injuries. You just got to draft like you're right, man. Right? So, sure, could Burrow get hurt? Could. But I have Chase and Higgins. I'm taking Burrow, especially in the 9th. And most people, I think, feel your way, right? I'm worried about Burrow, so I need to make sure I get an expensive quarterback too. I chose to take better position players and then put stress that not only is Burrow, good for my team, but he has a great year, right? And so I'm trying to beat you at the position players so I can beat the other Burrow teams week 17. Cal is trying to convince me to go Spencer Rattler. If Jameis Winston was still on the Saints, he is a Brown. We could consider that. I don't think Rattler. I think Taysom would play quarterback over Rattler. All right, we're going to put Gardner Minshew in the queue. We're going to put Michael Penix in the queue. Why not? I think we'll take Gardner here to go with Devontae. Again, I prefer Aiden. You could argue that it's not worth gambling on either of these backups or either of these guys who could be a backup and are probably not going to be that good. But Minshew Mania, baby. Let's get it. You got it, Cal. Sam Howell, yeah, he's another one I could gamble on. I really feel like their coach coming from the Ravens is not going to fool around with the Howell experience. There are some coaches who are like, okay, this guy passes. Let's give it a shot. And then there are other coaches who are like, we are running the ball. And you dare put the ball at risk, which Sam Howell will do, we won't ever see you. All right, Gardner Minshew, the only time I've taken him this whole year, welcome to the squad. What do you think of Noah Gray? I think he's a thin bet. I don't think he's even if Kelsey got hurt, I think he's unlikely to be good. So the final team: Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, Jalen Waddle, Travis Etienne, T. Higgins, Alvin Kamara, George Kittle, Joe Burrow, Jonathan Brooks, Tyler Lockett, Josh Palmer, Xavier Legette, Marshawn Lloyd, Taysom Hill, Luke McCaffrey, Jatavian Sanders, Bryce Young, Roschon Johnson, Will Shipley, and of course, Minshew Mania closing it out for us for a 3-6-8-3. Thank you for being here, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you subscribe and check out bestball.com. I'll be back tomorrow. Peace.